Hello, everyone. I'm Sam Eckmann of Gold Derby here with Dean Cundey, Emmy-nominated cinematographer for The Mandalorian. Congrats on your Emmy nomination. Dean, I was looking through your history, and I believe this is the first TV series you've worked on since 2005, when you did a couple West Wing episodes. So what made The Mandalorian an exciting prospect for you to do this type of format?
Well, it's um, I guess as we all know, it's a very innovative show. It's the subject matter, of course, is drawn from the Star Wars trope, but the the show is something where everything in front of the camera is designed by somebody, is created by somebody. There's nothing off the shelf. It's all a product of human artistry and imagination, and it to me it's such a wonderful change of pace from shooting against real backgrounds and everything. And so I was very delighted to be invited to join and have the opportunity to be part of this amazing world that's been created over a period of time.
Yeah. Well, you just mentioned, the backgrounds in a lot of the show, they use stagecraft to shoot on the volume, where there are these digital sets unfolding before you. How does that affect your process?
Well, I think it's like any new tool or technology that we come up with in this business, and that's something that's happened ever since the beginning of the motion picture. New cameras and new techniques and technologies for illusion, blue screens and everything. And so the volume is another one of those amazing tools that are available to us as filmmakers and as storytellers. It allows us to take the characters and therefore the viewers to places that normally we probably couldn't, do or afford to do. Huge, giant backgrounds, locations, sets, or apparently sets, and I think it to me it's one of those fascinating new tools that we'll learn to fold into our techniques of storytelling.
Yeah. And I was wondering, is it difficult coming into a series like this where there is a visual identity to the show established, and for Star Wars in general, there's certain, visual cues that people recognize. How do you come in and say, I'm going to put my own unique touch on this within that identity?
Well, that's actually a very good question, because I think anybody who joins in or takes over a a visual style or a technology or whatever has this obligation, I think, to to continue the look that has established it, that has made a particular show or a series of shows popular with an audience and intriguing to an audience, and part of the world of storytelling that we have. And so I think that it's one of those things that we learn to be amazed at the new tool, but we have to be careful not to just use it because we can or should, but because we must, and we have to do it in such a way that it is part of the storytelling. And so as a result, I think that anybody who joins in has an obligation to continue the look and the storytelling that has gone before, in such a way that the audience feels comfortable in visiting the world of the story and of the production.
Yeah. Well, you have certainly established your own looks for various films over the years. You have some incredible adventure films, like classic adventure films under your belt, from Back to the Future, Jurassic Park. And when I think of those movies, there's always moments I thought that they do very successfully at establishing a sense of awe and wonder at appropriate moments. And I felt that same thing in the episode you did, The Foundling, which you're up for at the Emmys, when Grogu enters the forge, the armorer's forge. There's a certain something special about that room. Can you just talk about how you approached that scene?
Well, that scene, that sequence, to me was something that the world of the Mandalorian and of the sort of the Star Wars in general, they do well. They create a feeling of a different world, and yet I think the most successful instances of that is when um, the world is also identifiable to the viewer. There's enough of familiarity with the world, the the things that the world is made out of, rock walls and things like that, and the style of the lighting is somehow logical, and draws the audience into believing the world, and that forge room, the armorer's forge, to me was a great opportunity to do that, to give it some kind of an interesting mystical look, and if you look at the forge itself, it's something we haven't really seen. They did a great job designing a new place, and the lighting, I wanted it to look natural, so that the sunlight was coming through holes in the walls and stuff, as opposed to being questioning where's the light coming from. So, and I think that's an important aspect. I've always tried to make the the world of any particular film, whether it's a previous one I worked on or not, make it accessible to the audience. Have them very quickly enter that world and say, "Oh yeah, yeah, this is all logical," or "Oh, I can understand this world, where the lighting's coming from, where the camera is, where the backgrounds are, the walls and the furnishings and all of that." So I think it's a case of collaboration between a lot of usually very talented people who are interested in creating these worlds and this adventure each time for the audience.
I'm glad you mentioned lighting in there, because the next moment after that forge scene is the flashback, which fans were very excited for, bringing us back to see how Grogu was rescued, with Ahmed Best coming back. And it is in the style of the prequel trilogy, and they had very specific lighting, especially on that urban city of Coruscant. Was that difficult to achieve with the volume, because you're working in this new medium?
I think that the volume is a great tool. It allows us to go into places and on a journey, that normally we wouldn't be able to build or afford, that kind of thing. The city scape is something that we, normally it would have to have been done with a painting or something like that. And the new technology allows us to live in that world, to explore that world in an authentic seeming way. And so I'm very delighted when a sequence like the Grogu's rescue can be a combination of real set pieces, real pyrotechnics, explosions, and smoke, and so forth, that leads us to the next step, which is sometimes a fantastical sort of world for flying around on a flying motorbike.
Yeah. And you have the camera is placed mostly from Grogu's perspective in that whole scene. Despite, there's action happening, there's battles, there's flying through the air on the speeder bike, as you say. What made you land on that choice to position the viewer as if you're watching from Grogu's perspective?
Well, I think that I think a lot of those choices are sort of consensus, you might say. I mean, we are led down a path of seeming logic, in spite of the fact that the world is so fantastical and illogical to us. But I think that the thing that is amazing to me is how we can create this, how a group of people can come together and create this world. And I think that the choice of having Grogu as the point of view is something that seemed to me logical and reasonable. Where you didn't want to be outside of the world looking in to watch these characters interact or whatever. You wanted to go along with the character that was the pivotal character in the scenes and in the story, and you wanted to be the point of view of that character. So so much of it is focused on Grogu's reactions to things and emotional fears and expectations and so forth. So where you put the camera has to reflect that kind of point of view. And I think the editing is always an important aspect of the storytelling. It's when do you show the audience the moment that they have to see or experience at these particular moments, and it's the editing is always great, and it's a combination of skills and sensibilities, to supply a good editor with the pieces that are needed to tell the story and to tell them in an effective way, and to draw the audience in through the story and the action and the characters. So it's to me, it's always a great combination of people.
Hmm. Well, speaking of Coruscant, I did notice you pop up in a little cameo in another episode as a magician, and you even, I think, conjure a very Jurassic Park looking dino creature. How did that come about? What was it like stepping in front of the camera?
Well, that was really a fun moment. I'm surprised how many people recognize me from that, as opposed to just a background performer. Excuse me. But it was a case of the scene having our characters walking through the town square, and the thought was, well, what are people doing at night in this town square in Coruscant, I believe it is, and and they said, well, we should have maybe a street entertainer. And someone said, well, what about how about what's his name here? I think I'd been interested in magic ever since I was a kid, and I sometimes make the analogy how a film or a episode of TV or whatever is one giant magic trick. You are creating illusion for the audience, and you're hoping they believe it, or you do your best to make it believable. But I've been interested in magic since I was a kid, so to me it was sort of logical that I just perform a bit of magic and be a street entertainer. And everybody said, oh, well, that's a good idea. So of course they found an appropriate wardrobe for me, and did my hair in an appropriate bizarre way. And then I said, how about if I do something like is magicians are famous for, stage magicians who are producing doves frequently from seemingly nowhere. So I said, well, what would be the equivalent of a dove in this world? And it turned into a dragon-like in character that they had used previously. So there was kind of a thread of continuity, and it was really a fun moment to do that. And it's fun to, as I say, have people recognize me, and yet have a reaction to the magician.
Hmm. Well, you certainly have a very recognizable career, and you've talked about technology a lot. And I was thinking back through your resume, you've worked on films that have all different ranges of technology available to them. Thinking back to Halloween, or um, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and now working here with The Volume. What is kind of the most impactful change of technology for your art form that you've seen?
Well, technology, as I said, has sort of changed over a long period of time, from the silent films when this illusion of motion and then storytelling first occurred. And I think it's always been a progression of better film, better camera, image capturing, ways to create believable illusion, because that's, as I said, that's what we do. We're all magicians, and I think that one of the, I think, most impactful technological developments is the computer and computer CGI illusion that's created, characters, backgrounds, effects. All of that has really allowed us to follow our imaginations, and to create the illusion that draws an audience in a believable way. You don't want them to necessarily say, whoa, what was that? You want them to accept whatever happened within the confines of a story, and to say, well, I think, I guess that's possible or probable, and continue on believing the story.
Well, it's a wonderfully told story here in The Mandalorian. So thank you so much for sitting with me, and congratulations again on your Emmy nomination this year. And everyone who's watching, make sure you stay with us the rest of this season. And Dean, thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Oh, it was my pleasure completely. Thank you very much.